Hi, I'm Kate Speak and I'm an actress from Bristol. I'm also a mega fan of Lara Croft, so I'm delighted to be asked these questions. Let's get going. I discovered Lara Croft and Tomb Raider back when I was approximately 13. I know I was at secondary school and I had a PlayStation 1 and we used to do like game swaps at school. So you'd take a game in and switch it with a mate and borrow it for as long as you needed it. And I'm pretty sure I swapped my copy of Tekken 1 or 2 with Tomb Raider from a friend, Daniel Stanley. And whenever we got a chance in class, we'd sort of go to the back of the class and discuss our favourite video games and stuff. And so I'd been recommended to try out this game called Tomb Raider. I didn't know much about it, but I was really pleased to give it a whirl. And I fell in love with it. I was not expecting to be so enamoured with a game that essentially, when I first looked at it, I thought it looked a bit blocky, very pixelated, a little bit unsure. But one thing I was absolutely certain about was I was really excited by the character of Lara Croft. I don't recall there being any other experiences at the time of gaming where you got to play such an engaging, exciting, in some ways relatable female lead, and I was hooked and very excited to go on these adventures with Lara. And subsequently I ended up borrowing the game for so long, I'm pretty sure he just let me have it because I never wanted to give it back. I mean, it's a big game anyway, but yeah, I definitely got my swaps worth and played it a heck of a lot, and yeah, fell head over heels. It means a lot to me. I've posted videos about this in the past, and the funny thing is, as you go through life, you find more reasons to say why this game matters to you, and the franchise, and the character, and the community, and it means different things to you at different phases of your life, and that's what makes it so incredible. So, as I say, you know, being empowered as a younger teenager by seeing this strong female lead, independent, interested in traveling, could stick up for herself. She didn't need to be in a relationship in order to appear tough. She didn't appear to have many weaknesses. Also, obviously, as we've got to know her over the years, we sort of see her weakness for her need to prove herself and prove her family heritage and prove her dad's right and all that kind of stuff. But that can, you know, in some ways that can kind of ignite her strength as well. But she inspired me to be, as I say, independent, confident. I was definitely inspired by Lara Croft when I went travelling on my own. About 10 years ago, I went to Southeast Asia, travelled all throughout Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. I was trying to find places that I knew Lara Croft would travel, and certainly the setting in Cambodia where I spent most of my time travelling was not only was it where Angelina Jolie shot most of her exterior scenes for the movie of Tomb Raider, but also the surrounding area obviously benefited a lot in a good way by the publicity that it got through Tomb Raider. And so there were many bars you'd go to and you could order cocktails called the Tomb Raider. You know, it brought a lot of travel and tourism into the country, which is brilliant. So yeah, it inspired me to travel. And as a lover of health and fitness, I don't know if you can see my cheeky little bike there. That's no accident. I bought an indoor kit to go indoor cycling. I've just got back from work. I'm also a fitness instructor. So did that, came home, did loads of cycling. And where I'm going with this is Lara Croft has always inspired me to be physically active and just do what I can to be as strong as possible and lift weights and keep fit. And I always, if I went out running or cycling on my own, I'd always imagine that I was Lara and trying to run away from baddies or Tyrannosaurus Rexes and stuff. So she had a huge influence just in crafting who I've been throughout most of my life. And even now, as an older woman, I still find inspiration from her. I feel that I've kind of grown up with her. She's growing up. Her character is evolving with every game. And I wonder where they go with her next story, whether or not they'll reimagine her or continue her story. Maybe she'll have a family. You know, I don't know, but I do always feel excited to see where she goes next and also what it will mean to me at the time. And you know, even with a recent movie as well, the Alicia Vikander one, I felt very inspired by her physique, and I actually put myself on the same fitness plan that her trainer Magnus Leidebeck prescribed for her, and I did a lot of that at the end of last year to kind of get myself back in shape. And I was really excited by the results because having had a baby, I needed a kind of bit of motivation just to kind of see what I could do physically and to kind of see muscles forming and growing and understanding further about health and nutrition. Again, all comes back to Lara Croft and this brilliant franchise. So I have so much to be thankful for when it comes to that. And I will say as well, I'm not sure if it comes up in a later question, but I mentioned the community. The community has brought me so much closer to people that I would never have met otherwise, including Kate Sykes, the lady who gave me these questions. And so many brilliant people that I've met at gaming conventions or just online forums, Twitter, anything, you know, people who have that common ground connection with gaming and Lara and cosplay and all that. So it means the world. I don't think I ever properly understood what cosplay was at the time. When I first cosplayed as Lara, I'd say it was more like fancy dress. So I did that kind of, you know, a lot of people have done it where they'll just buy like a set of gun holsters and some plastic guns and be like, oh, look at me, I'm Lara Croft, I'll put some sunglasses on. So that was my initial like dressing up as Lara. But then I started to get more interested in like the intricate details of Lara and you know, her new weaponry, especially when she went into using like a bow and arrow and a climbing axe and stuff. And I was like, these props are really cool. And I, you know, just sort of did a bit of digging about and found out really about the cosplay community and how much time and effort they put into recreating these looks and these props and these brilliant depictions of these popular characters. And so I gave it a go myself, and you know, some of them were okay and some of them got better. Some of them not so good, but I really enjoyed finding a new version of Lara to try and recreate. I think in particular, I enjoyed dressing as Rise of the Tomb Raider Lara, who still stands as probably my favourite version of the character to date. Yeah, mine was relatively basic, I'll be honest, you know, with let's talk about, I guess, the biggest prop would be the climbing axe, and I just wanted it to be good. And the first time I went out as Lara, I really hashed it together. I literally kind of taped some, I think I like used some like coat hangers, taped them together and spray painted them red because I just kind of wanted it to look like that from afar. And then when I met some proper cosplayers at EGX, I was like, oh, that's how you do it, because their props were insanely good. So when I went back to do it again, I got my best friend Tom to use a 3D printer to use a template of a climbing axe, which came out in a kind of, I don't know what material it was, like a kind of, I guess almost like a polystyrene, but stronger, maybe a type of card. I'm not sure, but it was strong enough. I mean, you couldn't really smack it against something hard, but it was strong enough that you could paint it and decorate it and it would stay relatively strong, and certainly good enough for posing at conventions. So he printed it out for me, and then I spray painted it red. Something I did before that, which I thought was really cool, is I actually spray painted it silver underneath so that it looked like metal. Then I spray painted it red, and then I scraped off bits of the red so that the metal came through as if it was authentically a bit scuffed up from adventuring. Wrapped bandages around the handle, put like bloody handprints and stuff on it. And then I think some black tape as well to reinforce it so it looked a bit more like a handle. And then the bit that really, really made it look awesome was there was a join. I think there was some on the handle and one on the actual axe bit at the top, but in particular the one on the handle where I put a real bolt through it. So all of a sudden it looked authentically like a proper, heavy, workable climbing axe. And I loved those props. So there was two of them. And I used them every time I cosplayed. And then eventually I used them in a music video. What was the name of the song? Oh, Waiting. Yeah, it's called Waiting by Third Party, I think. And you'll see I was cosplayed as Lara. It wasn't subtle. And I used my climbing axes in that, but they got damaged during that shoot and I chucked them away afterwards. But maybe I'll make them again at some point. But that was the main bit. And then the other segments, I guess with Lara, the main thing is like putting on an adventurous outfit like a vest or combat trousers or climbing walking boots, and then just roughing it right up. I bought this stuff called Dirty Down, which is like a brown muddy spray. you know, bloody bits, tear bits up, you know. In particular, the 2013 Lara, she was really scuffed up at the start. So I just kind of copied where all her injuries are. I think one of the first things that happens to her in the game, when she wakes up, she's got a bash on the head, so there was a bit of blood on the head, and then she falls as she sort of like cuts herself down from hanging up high, falls down, and straight away she pierces herself through the abdomen. So I did like a cut on the front and then on the back, and then tore the material around it as if she'd obviously been injured. But then bits of leftover bloody bandage I'd put around random parts of my arm and leg, and just those little details just really kind of lifted it up. And then the Rise of the Tomb Raider one was really similar, but just with a jacket as well, which I love. I bought a military jacket and added that into it, and a scarf and stuff. But I'd say the 2013 one was a little bit more fun in terms of manipulating it and making it look really battered. You know, I remember going on the train on the way to EGX, and it was actually kind of upsetting that no one batted an eyelid. I literally looked like I'd been hit by the train, and no one was like, "You all right, love? You okay?" There you go. They're obviously used to seeing that on the particular train journey that I went on. My friend was dressed as Solid Snake from Metal Gear as well, and he's sitting there with his eye patch in this military uniform. There's me, like, battered Lara, and we're like, yeah, nothing to see here. We're just sitting on a train in London looking pretty messed up. So yeah, fun. I think it was the massive realisation of what it means to people when they see these characters that they recognise at a gaming convention. And again, with EGX, you know, there was the time I went with my friend Tom, who I mentioned. He was Solid Snake and I was Lara, and people coming over being like, oh my God, can I have my photo taken with you? Or can I interview you? And can I hold your props? And just that like sudden feeling of almost feeling like a celebrity just because I was dressed as a popular character. And that was really, really cool. I loved it, and being an actress, I was able to really kind of play the role for the day. So I was very happy to like dip into these kind of common poses that I know Lara would do. It wasn't somersaulting around, I will say, but I was certainly posing with my guns and kind of, you know, a bit of the sassiness that Lara Croft brings. So that's a pretty decent memory for me. Another random one, actually, it's not really a good memory, but it's funny, is I actually fainted in the queue to play, I think it was Rise of the Tomb Raider, cosplay, conventions, very hot and stuffy, probably forgot to eat and drink, and yeah, I fainted. But the funny part is that it was another Lara Croft, the official Lara Croft, Rachel, who helped me come back round. Anyone walking past would have seen Lara Croft being like resuscitated by another Lara Croft. I just thought that was kind of amusing on the set of Tomb Raider, on the display of Tomb Raider. It was just a funny memory, and finding it kind of hilarious that my husband, who was dressed as Nathan Drake, was mistaken to be a male Lara Croft cosplayer. And I've got no problem with that. I think male Lara Croft cosplayers are flipping brilliant. But it was hilarious because he was so hurt. He's like, I spent ages on my cosplay and everyone just thinks I'm trying to be Lara Croft and I'm Nathan Drake. And because he does kind of look like Nathan Drake, or it's definitely his like main choice when it comes to cosplay. And yeah, it was just kind of funny that people just thought we were two Lara Crofts. So yeah, that was definitely up there with favourite memories. Yeah, it's definitely more mainstream. I think it's just an outlet, isn't it? It's, you know, we all have characters that we idolise. I think whether or not they're movie, game characters, or maybe music idols, we all have someone that we'd be quite flattered if someone compares us to them and aspire to be like. And I think that cosplay has opened the door for people to allow their geeky side to come through. But I actually think gaming in general has become less taboo. As a woman as well, I will say, you know, growing up, people are always a bit shocked if you're like, oh yeah, you know, I've owned every games console that ever came out, plus their Japanese counterparts and imports, and you know, even some of the really lesser heard of stuff, and they're like, really, you know, does it belong to your boyfriend? You're like, no, I am the geek of the household, thanks, and I'm quite proud of it. So it's become far more like, these days people don't bat an eyelid. They're like, oh yeah, you're a gamer as well, what's your gamer tag? which is great. And it's the same with cosplay. It's just opened up, and I like the fact that people can be comfortable with it. You only live once, you know. If dressing up as your favourite character makes you happy, then go out and do it and enjoy it and meet some other cool people, like-minded people at the same time. But yeah, again, with actors, it's great because actors are essentially playing characters. And cosplay is doing that again, but maybe without the dialogue. Oh, that's a good one, Kate. She's definitely influenced a lot of the choices I've made with regards to the characters that I play. I definitely always try to bring a little element of Lara into my roles if it's appropriate. And more often than not, it is because that's the way I've marketed myself, and that's the kind of projects that I've latched onto, and that's almost what I've been expected to bring out. You know, not always, but let's say kind of 90% of the projects that I've worked on, there's been a little hint of Lara thrown in there as well. Sometimes subtle, sometimes not so much. But it's been, yeah, I've enjoyed that about it. You know, I quite like to be people's low budget Lara. It's all good, you know, until I eventually get to Hollywood, I'm quite happy to be the low budget Lara Croft. And whilst I'm, you know, able and agile enough to do it, I shall continue, you know. We'll see. People might stop asking me soon. Maybe I'll be Lara's mother, but that's fine. I think I've said how it's influenced my life in general. But yeah, it's just that thing. Just I feel that Lara can pull you out of a funk. If you're going through a time in your life where you lose your identity, this sounds really weird. If you go through a time in life where you lose your identity, finding Lara's identity and pulling it back into your own helps you find yourself again. That might sound a bit obscure, but I've always felt that Lara has kept me back on track, physically and mentally. Whether it's listening to the soundtracks, playing a game, dressing up as her, training whilst influenced by her. I don't know. To some people it might sound crazy, but I think that my fellow Lara cosplayers will understand that. I have been so lucky to have met Kate Sykes, who is an incredible inspiration, a tremendous Lara cosplayer, a real positive force, not just in the cosplay community, but in the acting and filmmaking community. I just feel so lucky that our paths cross, and I think that, you know, I think it would have happened either way, but you know, the fact that it happened via Lara and all that is great. And you know, we obviously were very happy to discuss all things Lara and how things could be turned into a fan film of some description. But I thought Athena in particular was a really clever take on it. It was so relatable for, I think that's where I got my confusion before, because Kate plays Athena, but to me Kate is my Lara. And I feel protective of Kate. I just do. It's because I'm an old bird, that's all it is. But I feel naturally like this instinct to want to look out for her. And I think that as soon as I saw the script for Athena and saw that my character of Lara had made a decision to leave her behind, obviously that's quite hard to justify. But to understand where she was coming from and how Athena rises to the task herself to become this strong, independent woman, much like Lara, I just thought it was a really cool thing to bring, just to bring to the screen. And I just knew I wanted to work with Kate anyway, in any capacity. And this one really gave us the opportunity because I was able to shoot it remotely, because we do live quite far apart, unfortunately. So being able to shoot stuff from home and send it in and still have it as quite a pivotal part of the film was really, really nice. I'm really thankful for that. And I just thought it all came together so well. And I really enjoyed doing the voiceover part as well, because another thing about Lara that I love is the way that she talks. And I've always kind of tried to speak nicely, but I am from Bristol, so occasionally a Bristolian accent will come out. But a chance to really flex the well-spoken Lara vocal chords was lovely. So yeah, I enjoyed that bit. So I have hung up my independent film wings for now. on the basis of being a mummy to a 2-year-old, bit of a handful, and having fitness work as well. But that doesn't mean I've quit acting. Very much the opposite. I signed with an agent I adore halfway through last year, Sandy Mac and Jill. And we're on the same page here with where I want to go with my work. And I'm very much eager to do more work within television, voiceover, video game, and some film projects. But I won't be doing some of the other projects I did before, just on the basis that I did it for a decade. I've done theatre as well, but I did a decade of indie film, which I really, really loved. But it's just not so practical when you've got a little one, and you've got to find the opportunities to do that. So my focus is television, and without giving too much information, as Kate knows, and probably by the time you see this video, I'd be able to say anyway, but I have a small reoccurring role coming up in a TV drama, which I'm shooting in March. So this year starts exactly as I want it to, with the shooting of a TV drama for BBC and HBO, which I'm really excited about. And I'm just hoping for more of that, to be honest with you. I'd be very pleased if one thing leads to another, but I'll just see what the future brings. But that's definitely my drive. So I'm mainly seen on Twitter. That's my more active social media. Kate Speak Actor, I think, is my latest tag. Same on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but Facebook I don't know how long I'll hold on to, as I only really signed back up for it to use my Oculus Quest VR headset, which I've just sold. So don't know if I'll stick around on there. So yeah, mainly Twitter, although I have to say it's part of my New Year's resolution to come back off social media just a wee little bit, but I've blown all my other New Year's resolutions, so that will probably go out the window as well at some point. I will just end by saying thank you so much again for the opportunity. Thank you for taking the time to ask me the questions. It's been lovely to reflect and think about Lara Croft and what it means, and I cannot wait to watch and listen to some of the other actors discussing their involvement as well, because it's always lovely to see how Lara has influenced the lives of other people. Thank you so much, and if you need anything else, you know where I am. Cheers, guys.